Okay, everyone. So welcome back, and just want to recap what we did before the break. So let me first share the screen. Um, okay, you guys can see the screen, right? Um, so um, before the break, we basically uh, started using this Power Query editor, which is a separate tool embedded within Power BI Desktop that is used to clean and transform the data. So we imported these tables. So we imported the date table, customer table, all the way till the territory table. And so far we have applied transformations to the customer table. So for instance, we have added a new column called full name, which is basically a concatenation of three different columns: the prefix or the title column, the second was the first name, and the third was last name. We also added this income category column, which is basically a conditional column which shows the categories of different customers based on their income. Then we applied certain other transformations as well. And now I also showed you how the M code works. So with each step, we basically have a different M code written. And I also showed you how you can basically you can also, make certain changes, but as beginners, you don't have to do it. It's automatically generated. And I also showed you advanced editor. Um, Now we have to apply transformations to other tables, and before doing so, I mentioned an issue with the date column. So for instance, if we look at this column, right now it's fixed because I fixed it. You can see that the data type has been changed to this date format. So you can see that this calendar icon highlights that this is a date column. Um, but if we change this column to a date type, right now it's of text type. First thing we need to do is that we need to promote the headers. So we need to promote this to be a header, date, uh, this date, and this date value. So let's do that. So use first row as headers. And now this has been changed to the the column itself, the column name itself. So let's try to detect data types. So let's see what happens. And you can see that the data types haven't changed. So let's cross it and let's apply this step manually. So I click here, and now you see here that we have certain errors. So this issue is actually related to, let me just close this and let's open the calendar table itself. So let me show you why the issue is occurring. So you see here, some of the dates are on the left side, some of them are on the right side. And if I click here, if I filter the data, you will see that some of the data is in hierarchy, but the other data, as you can see here, is not inside the hierarchy. So this particular data is actually creating an issue. So the data which is outside the hierarchy. So all of this data is fine, this 2017, 2016, 2015, but this data is an issue. Now the thing is that we can troubleshoot this, but it will take some time. So instead of spending time on this, what I will do is, for now, I will remove these problematic values and show you how we can actually change the data type. So all of these values, which are the error values, once I change the data type, are because of these values, the ones which are not part of the hierarchy, which are these values you can see right here. So right now I've tried changing it to be the data type to be date in this. But again, the thing is that this will take some time, so we don't have much time. In this lecture, we only have like 90 minutes. So I will just remove these rows for now. It's not the ideal approach, of course, but right now since we have a time constraint, so I will just remove these rows. And later on during the week, I'll try to troubleshoot this and let you know what the solution for this is. And the other point I want to highlight is that this issue might not occur with your data set. So maybe it's an issue related to my system. So I'll see what I can do with mine, but maybe when you load this data, it might not occur. So that is something I want to highlight. So if you want to remove this, what we can do is that we can remove it from here. So what I can do is I can just highlight these, select these, and basically, what I can do is another thing is um, firstly highlight all of these and remove the dates. Okay, I can remove the dates, and now it should show me these values. But and basically when I press OK, it will show me these values. Okay, guys. So sorry about that. It's some internet connectivity issue. So now uh, let's go back to the topic that we were discussing. So let me just share my screen again. Ezra, could you enable screen sharing? I think I'm not the host anymore. So let me see. Um, is Ezra here? Who's the admin right now? Is admin here right now? Because I cannot share my screen right now because someone else is the admin. So whoever is the admin, can they share the screen? Can they allow me to share the screen? Um, okay, I think I'm okay, everyone. Everyone. So apologies for the delay. Um, so as I was saying, we can delete these problematic rows from here and then simply do a refresh. So if I go back to home, I can simply refresh the preview. So it will basically refresh all of the data and remove those rows. So instead of going to each file one by one, what I'll do is simply remove these errors from here and it will resolve the problem for now. And as I mentioned earlier, it is not the most ideal solution. I'll try to find the solution for this because this means that if we delete the rows, it is basically deleting our entire data set. So this is something to note. So, but I'll try to find a solution and let you know. Anyway, now if we come to dates, what we can do is that we can remove these errors. So if I click on this column, there should be an option to remove errors. So you can see here that if I right click this column, you see here that this removes the errors. So this basically removes all the rows where the error has occurred. And now you see that we have these, the errors are removed and those errors are replaced with nulls. So, and now we don't have any errors, and that means that the data type of this column has been changed to date. Let's go back to customers. Now in the customer column, you can see that the data type has been changed to date for the birth date. And the reason for this is that I actually deleted the rows from the actual CSV files, which is again not ideal, but this is something I have to do right now. Now the dates, in the dates table, we need to apply certain transformations. So basically, now since we are done with customers table, um, and then we want to come to the dates table, and here I want to add certain columns. So for instance, what I want to add is I want to add the year column, I want to add the month column, the date column. I also want to add the the actual days of the week, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and so on. So and let's actually do that. So for that, since we want to add the new column, so I'll go to add columns. And since we're dealing with the dates, so we need to go to this category, which is from date and time. So right now, since we only have dates, so this option is enabled, so we don't have any time values. So I'll open this. And what I can do is I can extract the year from this. And you can see here, 2015. Then let's click here again, add a new column, which will basically be the quarter. So quarter of the year. So this will add the quarter. Then we have another column, which will add, in which we will add the month. And let's add another column, which is basically the days of the year. So basically this will add all the days of the year. Let's actually see if this particular adds the dates from, I believe this is only for the days of the month. So let's see. So the problem is that we have so many nulls. I mean, since we have removed all of the dates, so that is something to note. But okay, so now we can also add the week of the year, start of week of the year. So it is basically the week of the year. So let's say if it's week 14th, it is basically inside April. For this first April 2015 is inside the 14th week of the year. Then let's look at other options. So day of the week, let's see what this is. This is day of the week, and this is actually day of the year, I believe. So this contains all the 365 days of a particular year, depending upon which date it is. If I select this column again, let's actually see. So let's go to the, you see, okay, so this is basically day of the month, I believe, and this is day of the year. So right now what we have added here is day of the month. So basically it's dates ranging from 1 to 31, depending on which month it is. Let's actually add the name of the day. So we have the day name Thursday, Sunday, Sunday, and I mean, you get the point, right? So basically it's the day, name of the day. Right now, I actually don't need these. So what I'll do is I'll simply remove these steps. So I can simply go to inserted day. I can remove this step, delete the step because it's not affecting anything. So I can remove this step. So let's remove day of the week right now as well. So day of the week. And one thing I want to point out is that by default, I mean, here it is adding Monday as, or should I say Sunday as the first day of the week. So it's basically representing it by 0. So by default, Sunday is the first day of the week within Power BI. So now I've added all the columns within the date table. So date, year, quarter, month, week of the year, day of the week, day name. So these are the columns, and the data types are also appropriate. So it's basically here it's text, which is correct. Here it's integer or a whole number. Also in these columns, it is correct. The year is fine, and also the date. So it's basically date data type. Now we are done with these two tables. Let's look at products. So in products, I don't really need to add anything. One thing I can certainly do is that I can show the subcategory names. So you see here, like the subcategory key is here. So basically product key, which is 214, is in subcategory key. So basically this product subcategory is 31. So if you look at the data itself, what we have is 31, which is helmets. So here what we can try is that we can add a new column which shows us the subcategory name. So for that, what I can do is I can actually join these two tables and just show this subcategory name. And also I want to put in the category keys as well. So I'll put in two columns. So I'll join these two tables, product and subcategory, and I'll extract subcategory name and category key. So for that, what we can do is we can make use of the joins. And are you guys familiar with joins? That the ones that we use in SQL? Are you guys familiar with them? So because that is the knowledge of those joins is important for this particular step. So are you guys familiar with that step? So anyone can tell me about joins, or should I proceed with joining these tables?
We have some ideas. I mean, I heard about it, but everybody, I don't know.
I think it's better I explain what joins are. So what I'll do is I'll simply explain what the joins are. So let's assume we have two tables. I'll just keep it simple. Customer ID, name, or let's actually use product table, product ID, and let's utilize some of the values that we have. So let's actually use this as a reference. So it's taking a bit of time to load. I'm not sure why. Okay. So we have these product keys, and these are actually unique product keys. And basically we have, let's say we have these products, we have these product names, and we have the product category, right? So product subcategory, actually product subcategory. So I earlier talked about the hierarchy. So basically it's like this. So basically we have product category, which contains the product subcategories, and the product subcategories contain all the products. So this is the hierarchy that is actually present inside this dataset. So now that we have this table, let's look at another table, which is product subcategory, right? So basically what I'll do is I'll open product subcategory. Let's do product subcategory, and let's actually open it from here. Or I think I've opened the wrong table again, product subcategory. So product subcategory, right now, let's see what options do we have. So we have subcategories from 31, 23. Anyway, I'll actually import them, all of them actually. So this table actually is the table which shows you all the subcategories and their description. So you get the idea, right? So product subcategory key 1 is basically mountain bikes, 2 is road bikes, and so on. So let's copy this and let's put it here. Let's actually do this, that we also copy this one. So let's put them side by side. Okay, so I want to join these two tables based on this particular column. So these two columns will be joined, and what I want to do is I want to extract these two columns. So product category 31 will be joined with, so let's actually add third insert. Let's add fourth. I think it's a lot. So let me just make this bit, yeah. So now it's visible. So basically, as I said, I want to, alongside these product names, I want to display the product subcategory name and the product key, right? So for that, what I need to do is I need to join these two columns. So I need to join this column and this column, right? So now what I'll do is I'll have a subcategory name, and the other column which will be category key. Okay, so product subcategory 31, which one is it? It is basically helmets. So basically I'm joining 31 with 31. So it's basically a simple join, or you can say an inner join, helmets. And which product category does it belong to? 4. Let's actually keep it a bit simpler. So I'll remove these ones so that we don't spend too much time on this. We already know that this is helmets. And what category is it? 4. Okay. Then we have 23. Let's look at what 23 is. Socks 3. So it's socks and 3. Socks and 3. Okay. And finally we have helmets, and we have the category which is 4. Now if we talk about joins, this is the most common join that I've used. This is basically the inner join. Okay, so this one is actually a simple inner join which I've used. And in this in the inner join, what happens is that only the common records are placed side by side. So for instance, we have 31, we have these 3 rows, right? These will be joined with 31. And then we have 23, this will be joined with 23. Okay, the rest of them will be discarded. So since we don't have any common records based on this subcategory key, product subcategory key, okay, so the rest of them will be discarded. Then we have a right join. Okay, so a right join, what happens is that it will join the common records which are from the inner join, and it will also join the records which are from the left exclusive from the right table. So in this case, let's assume this is the right table and this is the left table, right? So the right join, what it will do is it will join the common records. So the common records are based on this particular key, which in this case is the product subcategory key. Let me name this again. And it will basically present a similar result just like an inner join. But it will also join the other records which are from the right table. So right now what we have is we have these records which are so basically the common records were from this table, from this subcategory equal to 31 and 23. So what I'll do is simply just to demonstrate what the result will look like is that since we have this table, let me just highlight this. So from the right table, we extracted subcategory name and category key, right? So basically, it will show the results here. Can you mute your mic? I think because I can hear my voice. So what I was saying is that it will show all the remaining records in the right table as well. And if we look at from 23, so 23 all the way till okay, so and since we already have this 31, so Control C and Control V. So now we have the common records which are based on the keys that actually match, and the uncommon records which are actually from the right table. So from the right table, you will see all the records. But what about these particular entries, the ones that we haven't filled right now? Okay, so we just take this bit up. So what about these records? We haven't filled these we haven't utilized these ones. I mean, since two tables are joined, what will be filled here? So basically, in the left table, only nulls will be filled. So null, 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 and if we basically drag it down, so if you drag it down here, you will see only nulls in the left table. So from the entries of the left table, which is this product table, uh, the records which are not common will be replaced with null. And on the right table, all of the records which are only exclusive to the right table and don't have any common on commonality between the right and the left table, they will be displayed here. Okay. And now if we talk about the left join, what will happen? So the left join is completely opposite to the right join. So let's again assume this is the left table, this one with the product table, and the product subcategory table is the right table. So all the records, all the common records will be displayed, but the records that are exclusive just to the left table will also be displayed. So now it will be opposite. So you will only see the records that are common, that are actually exclusive to the left table, but on the right table you will see nulls. So right now I won't actually write it here, but because right now if we consider these examples, we only have common records. So, and finally we have an outer join. So the outer join is pretty simple. It's basically a combination of inner join, right join, and left join. So this was a brief overview of the joins. Let's actually, before actually we proceed, do you guys have any questions right now, or are you? I'm not expecting you to be completely clear about this, but I hope you get the idea what we want to do.
I got it.
Okay. So either way, I'll share some resources for you to go through these joins. It's actually pretty important if you want to work in BI. So you have to understand the joins. Okay. So now that we have a basic idea of the joins, what we will do is we will join these two tables because I just want to demonstrate how joins work inside this inside Power Query Editor. So for that, what I can do is I can go to the option of add columns, or let's actually go to homepage, and we have the option of merge queries. So you see this option, merge query and append queries. We'll come on to this append queries later on. This is basically a union. Okay, so if you are familiar with SQL, this is a union, and merge queries is the actual option that is used to join multiple tables. So I have options to merge queries and merge queries as new. So if I do merge queries as new, it will actually create a new table, and inside that table, it will basically show all the joins that I've created and all the columns that I've selected. So just to demonstrate right now, I'll just do a merge query as new, and you will notice here that on the left, you will notice a new query being created. So merge query as new. So right now I've selected the products table. Okay. And now here you can see that I have an empty list. I mean, the list is there, but it's not populated here. So now it says that on top it says select tables and matching columns. So the matching column in this case should be product subcategory key. So select tables and matching columns to create a merge table. So product tables is already selected. Now I want to select the subcategory, and based on what column do I want to join, I want to join these two columns, these two tables based on the subcategory key. Okay. So now I have an option of what type of join I want to select. I have an option to use the left outer join, right outer join, full outer, inner, left anti, right anti. Now these two options are actually, these two will only show the records that are exclusive to the left table. The left anti option, it will only show the records that are present in the left table or in the first table in this case. And right anti will show only the records which are present in the second table. So for now, I will use the inner join, and let's actually see. So it says selection matches 293 of 290 rows from the first table. So that is good. Let's press OK and let's see what happens. And you see here that a new table has been created. So a new query or a table has been created. And basically all the columns from table 1, which is product table, and at the end, we should have columns from the product subcategory table. So right now, the good thing here is that Power BI, or I should say the Power Query editor, allows us to select the columns from the second table. So if I want to select specific columns, what I can do is I can click on this option that you see right here, these two arrows, and I can select the columns that I want. So I want the subcategory name and the product key. So let's click here. So now you can see that I have the product subcategory name. Let's actually change the name of this column to subcategory, category name, subcategory name. Let's actually put, and then we have the product category key. And let's actually move these columns side by side. So what I'll do is I'll simply drag this column to the left. So it's not the most ideal way of doing it, but there is a way that you can rearrange the columns yourself. But right now I'll do it this way. So product name, product SKU, product subcategory. You see, product subcategory key and product name are side by side. And now you can clearly see that this product is basically from the subcategory, which is helmets. Now let's do one last thing with the products. Let's join. Let's also show the actual category of each product. So the overall category of the products. So for that, again, I'll use the merge on this particular table. And now I will not create a new query. I will simply use merge query. So what it will do is that it will apply all the joins inside this query. And let's see what happens. So right now I have this particular query, which is merge one, this one. I'll select this column, product category key, and the other table that I want to select is product category, right? I'll select this column, and what I'll do is I'll again do an inner join, which is pretty straightforward. Let's press OK. And from this table, what I want to do is I just want to select product category name. Okay. So now let's first change the name of this. So category name, and let's actually bring it here so that we can see these side by side. So product subcategory, and now you can see here that we have a step which is reordered column. So it allows us to reorder the column. So for instance, if I want to place this particular column product model name somewhere else, I can simply put it let's say here, and it will be rearranged to that particular position. This particular step is useful. I mean, this particular piece of code is useful for in cases where you have a lot of columns in a particular query. So for instance, if you have like 50 columns and you want to place a certain column at a certain position, it's much more easier for you to write this the particular column name and paste it somewhere inside this, rather than dragging the columns. So it's much simpler. Anyway, so with this query, I just wanted to show you how you can work with joins. It For our case, it's not necessary since we already have a product table, product category, subcategory. So this is basically like a snowflake. Uh, so this is basically, in this case, we don't really need to merge these together unless we have a specific requirement which in which we want to merge these together and show them side by side. So for now, I'll just keep this as it is. The main point of this was just to show you how the joins work inside Power BI. So now that we have worked with, let's see, so product, we were in the products table, right? So we have worked with joins. And now notice here that inside this, I mean, you don't see any subcategory and category names because we appended this. We basically made the joins in a new separate query based on this merged query as new. Anyway, so let's actually see what we can do here. I don't think we have much to do here, so the data types are fine. There are also headers are also promoted automatically. So we don't have much to do, and you can see here that since these product costs and product price are in decimals, so you can see here that they're already converted to decimal form. One thing we can do here is that we can reduce the decimals. We can round these decimals to, let's say, 2 positions. So let's see what we can do. So for that, let's go to transform and let's go to rounding. And let's see, round, what will happen and how many decimal places you want to do. You want to go with 2 decimal places, and you can see here it is reduced to 2 decimal places. Same for this. Let's reduce this to a maximum of 2 decimal places, and let's do that. So again, we have added 2 different steps. So I believe we can change this in a single step, so it's much more convenient. Let's actually do that. So what I'll do is I'll remove this step, and let's see if we can add the other column here. So let's see if we can add product. Okay, so let me just product price. So let's actually first select these 2 columns. So since these are same data types, so rounding off. We can also use rounding up and down. It's basically going to round up and down based on, I mean, what you select. So you see rounding up. I don't want to round up to this. So basically it's going to be a whole number. Okay. Round up and round down. I'll just use round to 2 decimal places. And now you can see that it is applied to both of these. So the useful thing is that instead of applying 2 steps, I have applied 1 step only. So it has actually, in this way, I've reduced 1 step. And this thing can be critical, can be important, because sometimes you are applying too many transformations. So in that case, you want to reduce the steps as much as possible, because all of these queries that you select here will be loaded to Power BI desktop, and inside there some you will be doing a lot of stuff. So you will be refreshing the data, you will be adding new columns, calculated columns, let's say. You will be adding measures. So these steps will add up to the performance of the report. So the more the steps you apply here, the more the reduced will be the performance of the report. So just wanted to show you this, and this is the actual transformation. Let's go to category. I don't think we need to do much here. We only have these 2, and data types are fine. Product subcategory, again, this is also looking good. Not nothing much to do. And these are the steps. I didn't apply these steps, right? So basically, if your data is in the right format, everything is fine. These particular steps, like let's say these promoted headers, change type will be applied automatically. So these are some of these steps you will always see uh, that are applied automatically if your data is in perfect condition. So just to give you an example, in this case, these steps were not applied automatically. So changed promoted header was not applied because there was some issue with the dates. So it didn't apply anything. So we had to make some changes. Okay, so now we have the data or related to returns. Again, um, we have an issue with the dates, and let's see what this is. So add a new step. And just like the previous case, we have an issue with the dates. Let me just see if I can fix this. So maybe if I can match my locale with this, so maybe it works. Let's see. So basically, whatever locale I have, I will try to match it with the locale that I've set here. So let's actually see. So the locale I've set here is actually, I think it's related to my own country. So let's actually set this to United States. Uh, I think maybe in your case, this issue might not occur because it occurs with certain, I mean, so in some of the systems, I mean, let's see. Okay, so now this is fine. And probably the reason for this in this particular case is that you see the data type here, not the data type, the format. So basically we have the month, the day, the year. Okay. But what we can do is that we can change the locale, right? So we can set the locale, and from here I can simply change it to United States and it should be working just fine. So um, because this date format, I believe it's used in the US, so probably that is the reason why it was causing issues. So I simply select, let's actually go back to United States. Um, so um, if you are having issue with the format of the date, I mean, if it's giving errors, just try this locale, change type with locale, set it to your, I mean, set it to United States, and it should be fine. If it's still causing an issue, then simply remove the rows for now. In this case, I tried this locale thing using locale United States, but it didn't do much. Okay, so now this is fixed. Return date. This table basically shows you the data of the orders or the products that have been returned. So it's the returns data. So this looks fine. All of it, the data types and the date format is also fine. Let's look at these three tables. So basically, as I mentioned at the start, we have these three tables, which are sales of 2015, 2016, and 2017. So you might have noticed that all of these have the same structure. So all of these columns, order date, stock date, and so on, are also present inside these tables. Let's fix these one by one. So you see here, the data type is not fine of these dates. Let's try to use the locale. So using locale, so it's going to take some time, I believe. So I'll change this to date, and let's set this to United States. And let's see what happens. Oh, okay, so it is fixed now. I don't see any errors. That is good. Let's do the same for this and let's see what happens. Hopefully it should also work. But instead of applying these steps separately, let's actually select these two together and apply these steps. So what I'll do is I'll go to these. Okay, so let's actually do this one by one again. So using locale, I don't think I have an option here of using the locale. So United States, and let's do the same for this one. So I think I'm hopeful that it will be added in this step rather than adding a separate step in this. So okay, so let's see what happens. Okay, so in this case as well, it's working totally fine. So that is good. Let's look at the other columns as well. So we have the order number. So these sales tables are actually called fact tables in this case. So basically these tables show us the actual orders that have been placed. So you can see here that a particular order was placed at on 1st January 2015. The order number was this. The product which was purchased in this order was this. The customer who purchased the product with this customer key. And all of these tables will actually be linked to the product table, the customer table, and we will also link the date with this order date. Then we have the order line item. So basically how many orders, how much quantity was placed in, how much quantity was ordered in this particular, or maybe I think it's, or maybe it is that how many products were actually ordered in this particular order, and the order quantity, how much quantity was there. So for instance, we have, I think we only have one. So in all orders, only one particular product was purchased. So this table is related to the the factual data. Uh, so uh, I think there should be the actual revenue column here. It should be there, but if not, we can actually um, calculate it later on future lectures. I'll see if we can have the data already present, because there is another version of this AdventureWorks dataset which should have this revenue or the sales data. So sales 2015 is fine. Let's look at sales 2016. Let's look at the dates themselves. Um, so I'll change the data type to date, and let's look at United States. So hopefully it should be fine. It is fine. It's not giving me any errors. Yes. So let's change the data type to date, and let's change the locale to United States. And let's see. Okay, so this is also fine. This is looking good as well. So, and the reason I'm not using directly using this is, again, as I mentioned, it is the locale issue. So that is why, because it's looking at my, I believe it's looking at this, and it's that is why it's causing an issue. So I've changed it to United States. So now here, order date is fine already. Let's look at the stock date using locale, and Let's change it to the date data type. And what we will do is again change it to United States. Let's see what happens. And this is also working fine. And the remaining data types are fine. So now we have these three tables. It's pretty inefficient if we load them separately because these three tables have the same structure. So what I want to do is I want to append these three together. So just to show you, this particular table only has 2015 data. This particular table only has 2016, and this one has 2017. So what I want to do is I want to take a union of these three tables, or in the Power Query editor, the option is called append. So what I'll do is I'll click here, go to home, and you can see here that we have append queries. So I can append queries and append queries as new. So if I append queries as new, it will basically create a new table here and it will basically show me the final output. But right now I'll just use append queries. And what I want to do is you can see here that concatenate rows from two tables into a single table. So it's basically row concatenation or a union. In if you talk in the terms of SQL, but I want to merge these, or should I say append these three tables, right? So what I'll do is, since we have already selected the current table, so the tables to append 2015, let's select 2016 and finally 2017. So let's press OK. And now inside this particular query, we have all the data present. So if I load the data, you will now see 2016 data. So if let's type 2016, let's wait for it. It should be present here. I think it's taking a bit of time to load. Let's see. So I believe it should be present here. Let's actually try to sort this and check if it's really there or not. Okay. 2015 appended queries. Okay. So if I do descending, what will happen? Sorted rows. If I do ascending, now I think ascending will not work. So I believe this is actually creating nulls for some reason. I don't know why, but it should be appended and it's not really showing me the results that I want to see. Okay, so let's see if we have the data itself, 2016. So I believe it didn't append them properly. Let's actually revisit this step and let's see what happens. So 3 or more tables. Um, let's actually see if this works again. It should work because these tables are not really creating an issue. So the data types are fine. The structure is also fine. So okay, so basically I know the reason now. It's because of this particular column, right? So I believe it's we added okay, so I remember that initially we added a new column. I just wanted to show you if we can add a new column. So if I remember correctly, it was this step that we added somewhere. So columns, order quantity, promoted headers, change type, renamed columns, change type with locale, uh, and change type with local one, and appended queries. Okay, so I'm not really sure why it's adding it separately. It shouldn't, but so we have how many columns? We have order date, stock date. Okay, so now I get why it is causing the issue. So basically, if you remember, let's actually remove this step. So we actually renamed the order date in this format to order date, because I just wanted to show you how you can rename the columns, right? But if you look at here, order date is written in this fashion, and order date is written in this particular way, so without any space. So the key thing to note here is that there are three things. The one thing is that the structure of the tables should be the same. So for by that I mean that the tables should have the same number of columns. The second thing is that their data types should be the same. So for instance, if this is in text data type, but in the remaining two sales 2016 and 2017, it is of date data type, it wouldn't work. Okay, so and the third thing is that the names should be identical. So this is something to note, and what I want to do is I want to remove this step, which is renaming the columns. So delete this step. It isn't affecting anything, or maybe it is, because the step that I deleted here was actually, I mean, this particular step where I changed the, or this step where I changed the order date. I changed the data type of order date when the name was of this in this way. So I have the thing that I have to do is uh, I can do two things. One thing is that I can remove this step. So I can remove this step and then again add this change data type. Or the other thing is that I can simply remove this. So now you can see that by removing the space, it is totally fine. So just to again highlight this, that if steps are dependent upon each other and you delete a step in between, then it will cause an error and you have to fix it if you know how to fix that particular thing. So now let's append these together. So what I'll do is append queries, and it will append in this particular query. Or let's actually add this. So append queries, two tables, and not two tables, actually three tables. And then what we will do is we will add 2016 and 2017's data. So now it should be fine. And let's actually see this. And we should now be able to see 2016. And if we load more, 2016, and now you can see here that we can see the 2016 data as well as 2017 data. Okay, let's rename this particular table to something else. So we can rename it to sales, since now it includes all of the data of all the years. So 2015, 16, and 17. Let's name it to sales. Now it's changed to sales. And the other thing is that now that we have these tables, which are not of any use at this point, we can do one thing. We can basically disable the loading of these tables. So what I mean by that is that when you are done with all the transformations of all the tables, you simply have to close and apply. Okay. So basically you have to apply, close and apply, then you have apply and close. So basically close and apply means that it closes Power Query Editor and it applies all the transformations that you have applied so far. And basically it loads that particular data set into the Power BI desktop. The other option is that you apply the changes and you simply remain here inside the query editor. And the third thing is you close. So basically without saving any changes of those transformations, you simply close it. So usually, I mean, in our case, I'll simply use close and apply. But before doing that, uh, we have an option to disable the tables that we do not want to load into Power BI desktop. So what I mean by that is that, as I mentioned, these two tables are of no use, right? Because we have this particular table, 2015, 2016, and 2017 data. It includes all of it. So what's the purpose of loading these two? It basically means that we are loading extra data, and it will basically reduce the performance of our report. So what we can do is we can disable the loading on these. So these two tables will not be loaded into our Power BI desktop. So what I can do is um, I can right click here and disable load. So you see here the tick mark, it basically means that this table has been enabled to be loaded inside Power BI desktop. So let's uncheck this, and you can see that now it's written in italics. This means that this table is not supposed to load when you close and apply. Then let's do the same for this, enable load. Let's disable this. And this merge query, I mean, I just I demonstrated this merging option so that you get an understanding of how joins work inside Power Query Editor. So I do not need this. So what I'll do is I'll again disable loading on this, and you can see here it's written in italics. And one last thing I want to do is I also want to disable loading of this. So since we do not need this, so what I'll do is simply disable the loading on this one as well. So now we have these tables: date, customer, product category, subcategory, return, sales, which contains all the sales of all the years, territory. So these are the tables that will be loaded as our data set inside Power BI desktop. So before doing so, let's look at the territory table as well. So sales territory key, this is basically again related to the region where the sales are happening. Again, pretty straightforward. Won't be doing much here because the data types are also already fine. So now we should load this, but before doing so, let's actually put these tables in a group or in a separate group or in a separate folder, I should say. So what I can do is I can select these tables and I can right click here and move to group, new group. So it basically contains a separate folder which will accommodate these four queries. So what I can call it is uh, tables not meant for loading. I mean, it's not the best title of this particular folder, but you get the idea, right? So you can change it to whatever you like. So and you can also add the description. So these tables slash queries will not be loaded into Power BI desktop for reporting. So let's click OK. And now you have these four tables that are in a separate folder, and you have this other queries. You can also move the tables from one folder to another. So for instance, if I want to move product category from this particular folder to this, I can right click here. I can move to group and tables not meant for loading. So it will move that to this particular folder. So anyway, now this has been, now our data set is is according to our need. The last thing is that again I want to highlight is that the dates and the customer tables do not have the data in the do not have the complete data because I deleted some rows which are causing error. But I'll try to fix it and let you know, because this is the data set we will mostly be using to create our reports, our data model, and so on. So first, I mean that when you work on this data set yourself, try to use the locale. So try to change it from here. So use the locale. If locale works, that is fine. But if not, uh, then you would need to delete those rows. So basically, you will remove the errors. But hopefully, it shouldn't cause an issue in your systems. I'm not really sure why it's causing an issue in mine, but I mean the data itself. But I'll look into it, and hopefully by the next week I'll update you. So let's actually now load this data set itself. But before doing so, do you guys have any further questions, or should I proceed? So do you have any further questions? Anyone can let me know. Okay, I believe there is no question. So I'm only going to take about 10 minutes now, so it's not going to take much time. So now that we have our data set, our transformations ready, so I'll click close and apply. So it will load all of these tables into our Power BI desktop. And you will notice here that it will load. So you see here the loading option. So dates, customers, products, product category, subcategory are being loaded into Power BI desktop. Okay, one of the loaded queries contained error. I think it's yeah, it's related to sales, but it's not a big issue. It is I believe it's a non-issue, but anyway, let's actually view the error. So let's actually see what the issue is. Okay, so the order date is causing some sort of issue. So I'm not really sure what the error is. So let's see. Mm, let's actually see why this is an issue. I believe it's again related to locale. Um, so let's actually see the data itself here. If it's causing an issue, I don't think it is. It shouldn't cause an issue. Order date is empty, which is oh, okay. I believe it was because of the nulls, because we already have the data here. It's at the top, it's showing the empty values, which we don't need. So it's not, I don't think it's a big issue. So anyway, now we have these tables loaded here. So customer table, date table, product category, subcategory, products, returns, sales, and the territory. Let's look at the data model itself. Now you can see here that the relations are automatically created, but the thing is that I don't want to rely on the automatic relations that are created. So right now the best thing to do is that what I'll do is I'll go to manage relationships. So basically manage relationships will is going to display all these relationships that are created between the tables. I'll go to manage relationships and delete all of these. And what I suggest you to do as beginners is that you disable this auto detect relationship option. So let me just select all of these first, or should I select all of these and delete these? So now you will be able to see that in this view, these relationships are deleted. Don't worry too much about these relationships and how they work. We will discuss these in detail in the next lecture, hopefully, where we actually configure our data model. So basically, we will configure the relationships as well as we will uh, use DAX formulas to create columns, calculated columns, as well as measures. So let me just save this first. So right now I've saved this and I've deleted all of these. Let me just simply save this for now. So Power BI training session, and this is 30th July. So what I want to show you is that as you saw earlier, that these relationships were automatically created. The ideal thing is that we create our relations ourselves rather than relying on Power BI desktop. Because sometimes Power BI desktop creates wrong relations because if your data set is completely ideal, then the relationships will be created, the relationships that are created will be correct. But sometimes you make some changes and you don't want certain tables to have a relationship between them. So the better thing is that we go to files, options, and further go to options. And what we do is we disable this particular option where it automatically detects the relation. So let me actually navigate to the, I believe it's preview features. Let's see. Oh, I think it's data load. Okay. So you go to current files, and what I suggest you to do is you disable this auto detect new relationships after data is loaded. So uncheck this, and now you should be good to go. So before you start working on this particular data set that I've provided it to you in Google Classroom, what I suggest you to do is inside Power BI desktop, disable this option so that you can work with the relationships yourself. Okay, so now the option has been disabled, and now I will create. I can create. Let's say if I import a new table and basically load a new table inside this data model, it won't create an automatic relationship. So for today, that's about it. I mean, we basically right now what we have done is we have prepared our data to our own liking, and the data set which we used was AdventureWorks. Just to before I recap today's lecture, do you guys have any questions till now, or are we good? So if you have any questions, please let me know. So anyone has any questions, or why is everyone mute? I mean, okay. Anyway, um, so let me just type here. I mean, Okay. So, just to recap, what we did today was we imported a new dataset, which is the AdventureWorks dataset. We applied transformations. We basically prepared the data for our reporting, and we basically, um, made some data type changes. We also applied some calculations, some other transformations like appending the queries, merging the queries, and so on. And finally, we loaded the data into Power BI Desktop. So hopefully now you have some familiarity with the Power Query Editor. So which is the other tab that I opened, Power Query Editor, and hopefully you have a basic understanding of how it works. So for today, this is it. And in the next lecture, we will work on the data model itself. We will configure the relations between the tables. We will see what are the different types of relationships. We'll also write DAX formulas. We'll work on DAX measures as well as DAX calculated columns. And after that, again, just we will make our report. So thank you for your time for today, and hopefully I'll see you in the next lecture. Thank you.